Hello and welcome to a special Halloween episode
of the
Ghosty Girls. We figured,
back.
yeah, Halloween's coming up soon, so we wanted to do a couple Halloween-themed episodes. And yeah, we're going to do one this week because we're in the spirit.
Woo!
Halloween's my favorite.
Carve those pumpkins, hang up those bats. Don't use the spider webs because birds get stuck in them. Your front yard looks amazing. I love your little
Oh yeah, I have
Happy Halloween.
Yeah, I have an inflatable Michael Myers. It looks like one of those like Funko Pop
he's
like
cute.
things, and it says Stabby Halloween. Yeah, love it.
I pulled up. I was like, ha! Awesome.
So, speaking of Halloween vibes, picture this. It's a cool fall Halloween night in the 90s. A boombox is in the background playing a mixtape of creaking doors and ghostly groans.
Ooh.
It's echoing throughout the neighborhood. The air is filled with the smell of bonfires, wet leaves, and the aroma of rubber Halloween masks. You know the smell. You know it. It's cold, so your mom made you wear a sweater underneath your princess costume, which totally ruined the vibe of your look, but whatever.
Experience.
Yeah. The streets are filled with excited children in their colorful and spooky Halloween costumes, laughing and skipping along with friends, going door to door, knocking and yelling, "Trick or treat!" Someone comes to the door with a huge orange plastic bowl in the shape of a jack-o'-lantern. The bowl is filled to the brim with sweet tarts, mini Hershey bars, Kit Kats, those shitty packs of Smarties, Snicker bars, and your most favorite candy of all, a Reese's peanut butter cup.
Not the Tootsie Roll?
Or, if you're from the East Coast, we call them Reese cups.
That's what they're called. Fight me.
Yeah, that's an East Coast thing, by the way.
Reese's?
Yeah.
Really?
They're Reese's.
They're Reese's.
Remember how we used to call them Reese's Pieces?
Yeah.
They're
That's what
Reese's.
No, they're not.
Reese's Pieces.
I disagree. Sorry, West Coast. You wrong.
You reach for the peanut butter cup, your mouth practically salivating in anticipation of the chocolate and peanut buttery goodness just melting in your mouth. You eagerly rip the wrapper off, place the peanut butter cup to your lips, and bam! Your mom grabs the candy away from you to inspect it for a goddamn razor blade.
True story, bro. True story.
We all lived it. We all have the core memory of our parents sifting through our precious Halloween candy before we even dare take a bite. But has anyone ever stopped to think, where did this come from? Where did this mythological story originate that children all over the United States of America were falling ill and even dying to candy laced with cyanide, LSD, or a razor blade?
How do we know it's mythical?
Let's do a deep dive
into
the urban legend that is killer Halloween candy.
Done.
How was that for an intro?
Dun. You nailed it. If people aren't on the edge of their seats and wanting a Reese's cup right now, I don't know what's wrong with them.
I nailed it just like the tip of a razor blade.
Ding, ding.
In a Snickers bar. According to Joel Best, who is a professor of sociology and criminal justice from none other than the University of Delaware, the concept of contaminated Halloween candy is, quote, absolutely a legend. But where does this legend come from? Now, Joel Best has written several publications on this subject and has really been an advocate for putting this urban legend of poison or tainted candy, which originated in the United States, to rest. According to an article published in 2015 by psychiatrist Joni Johnston for Psychology Today, Joel states that there have only been about 80 reports of sharp objects placed in Halloween treats since 1959. Which, in the grand scheme of things, really isn't all that much considering the sheer amount of children that trick-or-treat every year. So it does seem like 80 reports of sharp objects since 1959. It seems like a lot, but it's since 1959. And think of how many kids actually trick-or-treat. And the majority of these reports did, in fact, turn out to be proven hoaxes. However, one instance where this actually did happen was in the year 2000, when a 49-year-old man from Minneapolis named Joseph Smith was caught handing out candy bars that he had placed needles in. Joseph was subsequently charged with 1 count of adulterating a substance with intent to cause death, harm, or illness. Yeah. Now, thankfully, the only child injured was a 14-year-old who received a tiny prick to his mouth after biting into one of the candy bars that Joseph had tainted. The boy's totally fine. He was not seriously injured, but it's still fucked up enough to be concerning, especially the fact that I could not find any reports of a motive in my research. Yeah. So
You say he just woke up and chose violence.
Apparently, yeah. As we all know, the fact that people exist out there who just want to hurt children for absolutely zero reason is fucking terrifying. Why do you think that there's so many true crime podcasts? Because there's a lot of fucked up people out there.
Truth.
Yep. Now, probably the biggest example of Halloween candy tampering was actually not even from a stranger. It was from the child's own father. In 1974, a man named Ronald Clark O'Brien, who lived in Deer Park, Texas, decided to place cyanide in a pixie stick tube, murdering his son Timothy in an attempt to collect insurance money. O'Brien was later nicknamed the Candyman and the man who killed Halloween. O'Brien also gave a cyanide-laced pixie stick to 3 other children, including his own daughter Elizabeth, in an attempt to throw off investigators. Luckily, none of the other children were seriously injured. Upon investigation, pathologists found that O'Brien had dumped cyanide into the pixie stick tubes and then stapled them back up. So tampering would have been evident, but of course, he was the one who opened up the pixie stick for his son to eat. So why would a child think that their own parent was trying to poison them? You know?
My heart's breaking.
I know.
For that kid.
It was later found that O'Brien had taken out multiple life insurance policies on his children and had fully planned on killing both of them to gain a total of $60,000. That's it. $60,000. O'Brien was found guilty on June 3rd of 1975 and was sentenced to the death penalty. He was ultimately put to death by lethal injection less than a decade after he was sentenced. He has maintained his innocence right up until his death. I wish they would have given the death penalty with a cyanide pixie stick.
Listen, if y'all want to vote me for president, shit like that will go down. You murder somebody, I'm going to murder you how you murdered them.
Eye for an eye.
Murder.
And cyanide poisoning death is awful.
I can't
It
imagine.
is fucking awful. Like, you're thinking like every GI symptom ever. It's painful. You're vomiting. You're shitting yourself. It's a horrible death.
Burns you from the inside.
It really does. Ugh. Yeah. And I just...
I can't.
What kind of a person could watch their child go through that and be okay with it?
He probably didn't watch. I can't.
Awful. Another lighter example of Halloween candy tampering was in 1959 when a man named William Shine, who was a dentist in California, thought it would be funny to place laxatives into candy and hand out over 400 pieces to trick-or-treaters.
Stop.
Yeah. It's reported that 30 children got very sick with awful GI symptoms from the laxative-laced candy, but that luckily no one died. Dr. Shine was charged with unlawful dispensing of drugs and, quote, outrage of public decency, which I don't know. I'm not familiar with that. And his dental license was subsequently revoked for only 2 years, which is wild to me. 2 years. Like, clearly, if he's willing to do something like that to a child, he doesn't have any business being around someone's mouth.
No.
Like, what the fuck?
No.
It should have been permanently revoked.
Agreed.
But what do I know? I'm just some bitch.
Again, girl, same.
In possibly the most fucked up case I found about tainted Halloween candy was the case of a 47-year-old housewife and mother of 2 named Helen Feel, who in 1964 decided to hand out candy laced with arsenic from ant poison to trick-or-treaters who she felt were, quote, too old to be trick-or-treating. Now again, the items that she passed out were clearly tampered with. They were essentially ant buttons that contained the arsenic and dog biscuits that she had wrapped in aluminum foil. I actually had to Google this, the ant button thing, because I had no idea what that was. They were like little buttons for ants, like to, I guess they...
Just throw them around your house?
Yeah. But she threw them in aluminum foil with a dog biscuit and gave them out.
I mean, at least it was aluminum foil, so parents would like... hopefully have a clue.
Yeah. So, like you said, this would have clearly raised alarm bells for any parent because these treats weren't commercially wrapped. They looked fucked up. People caught on right away. You know, wasn't the smartest thing.
No.
Her husband later defended his wife and stated, quote, her actions might have been thoughtless, but were not malicious, and that she only gave the treats out to older children as a joke. The most ironic fucking thing about this story is that Helen's two sons were 14 and 16, which is on the older side of trick-or-treating, right? And they were out trick-or-treating.
Did she give them an ant button?
No.
And a dog biscuit?
No.
What an asshole.
Yeah. You're fucking with these kids who you think are too old to be trick-or-treating, but your 14 and 16-year-old sons are out trick-or-treating.
That's not okay.
Also, I tend to give treats out to older kids who are dressed up because at least they're out there enjoying their childhoods and they're not doing fucked up shit like TPing a house or something.
Yeah.
Like, just give them candy. What the fuck?
Yeah. Listen, I have a group of, I guess, teenagers in my neighborhood. And every year they come, you know, and I always tell them, I said, you come back towards the end of the night.
Yeah.
And I give them pretty much whatever's left.
Yeah.
Because I don't want the candy in my house because I'll eat it.
Same. Yeah.
I'm going to take it.
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, I give Halloween candy out to adults who are dressed up with their kids.
Same.
Like, who cares?
We do little shots of vodka.
That's amazing.
And Fireball.
That's awesome. So Helen was arrested that night, and after she completed a mental evaluation, was charged with 2 counts of child endangerment, which she pled guilty to. Her neighbors, this was surprising to me, her neighbors went as far as writing character reference statements to the judge in her defense, stating that even though this was incredibly stupid, that she was not a danger to society.
That was nice.
Yeah. I wouldn't have. I would have been like, dude, like, you could have given that to my kid. Like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Go to prison.
Same.
It's not, that's not a funny joke to me. Like, that's just evil.
You could seriously hurt someone.
You could kill someone with arsenic.
That too.
Ugh. The judge agreed that she was not a danger to society and sentenced her to only 60 days in a psychiatric hospital. So, yeah. Despite the instances that we talked about, which, don't get me wrong, are fucking horrifying, these remain pretty isolated incidents. I think it's fair to say that although we should always remain vigilant with the safety of our children, I really don't think that the poisoning of children on Halloween urban legend is something that we really need to be that worried about. You know, but as far as home-baked goods go for me, like when people hand out cookies or brownies, that's a no.
Big no.
Big no. And you know what? It's not really even because I'm afraid of poisoning. It's because I don't like eating anything out of someone's kitchen that I don't know what the kitchen looks like. You know what I mean?
No, I never even thought about that.
Yeah, that's why I don't even like potlucks. Like when people do potlucks at work and stuff, I hate that shit because I don't know what your kitchen looks like. I don't know what your house looks like. I don't know how clean you are. I don't know. It just skeeves me out.
I get it.
But
That's
yeah,
why I typically bring something from like Acme or the
Yes.
grocery store, like a fruit platter. Or a
that's
cheese
exactly what I do. I'll bring like a veggie tray or a fruit tray or something.
plate. You
but
make those charcuterie boards.
a charcuterie board.
Charcuterie boards.
I love making charcuterie boards.
I know. You should do that as a business. You do a great job.
I would love it. I would love it. But yeah, just be vigilant with your kids on Halloween, especially with dark roads, because statistically, it's more likely for children to be killed in a pedestrian versus vehicle incident than it is to die by candy. In fact, Halloween is labeled the most dangerous day of the year for child pedestrians, according to a study conducted in 2018.
That makes sense.
The risk of a child between the ages of 4 and 8 being fatally injured by a motor vehicle is 10 times higher on Halloween than it is on any other night of the year.
That's crazy.
Scary. Yeah. So not trying to tell you how to parent, but I like when they put those little, like, they give kids, like, the light up, like,
Yeah.
I don't know,
neon
pumpkins or whatever. Yeah,
like the
yeah.
Flashy things.
Yeah, just because, I mean, even if you're in a neighborhood, like, you don't know who's driving around on Halloween and if they've been drinking, and I don't know.
Yeah.
It's scary.
And you know people have been drinking on Halloween.
Oh, for sure.
Especially those older teens that come to your house.
The older teens.
That's why you give them Ant buttons.
Yeah, they should not be trick-or-treating. They're too old.
Just kidding.
I
You
remember.
come to my house, no matter how old you are, I'll give you candy.
I will too, yeah. I remember the last time I trick-or-treated was when I was a senior in high school, and I really did feel dumb doing it. It was kind of more like a joke. And I went with my friend, and she dressed up like a Barbie, and I dressed up like Cher from Clueless. And we walked around, and we went to like 2 houses, and then we were like, we really are too old for this. Like, we both have cars. We both have jobs. We can literally get in the car and go buy a bag of candy. Like, this is dumb.
Yeah, but it was free.
It was free, but I don't know. I feel like you get to a certain point where you're just like, I'm kind of over this.
I should probably just hand out the candy this year.
Yeah. But I don't know. I just love Halloween, and I love all things spooky.
Me too.
Speaking of that, is Mischief Night still a thing?
I'm not sure if it's still a thing because I never see anything in my neighborhood.
I don't either. Yeah. Oh, God, knock on wood.
That was my head, by the way.
Yeah, like I remember back in the day, Mischief Night really used to be a thing. Oh, yeah. And I specifically remember because there was a guy, this was, I think, my first year of college. And there was a guy that I went on one date with. Mm-hmm. Okay, one date. Sure. I met him. I met him on Main Street. You know how people used to cruise on Main Street? In the
cars and park at the Burger King.
Yes. If you're from Delaware, you know. If you know, you know. And I went on one date with him, and I wasn't feeling it. And I even told him, I was like, I see you as more of a friend. Like, I don't really see this going anywhere.
You friend zoned him.
I did, but I was nice enough to let him know.
Yep. That's
and so I guess this was like in early October. And then Mischief Night, he apparently egged my car because I woke up on Halloween morning and I had a class. And then I had to go to work right after my class. And my car was just destroyed with eggs. And I didn't have time to get it washed off because, like, I was on a tight schedule that day. Yeah. So I can only imagine what that looked like.
Oh, that was not fun for you, I'm sure.
No. Don't you have a funny...
I do.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like you've told me before about something you did on Mischief Night.
Yeah, so I've always been a fan of Mischief Night, but, like, tame things for the most part. You know, like, paper where people can reach it.
As long as you're not destroying property, I don't think it's a problem. It's funny.
I've never used eggs or anything that extreme.
Yeah.
Only paint.
Wait a minute.
Oh yeah, you're ready. So my grandparents, God rest their souls, were incredibly awesome people, and they could take a really good joke.
Aw.
So, they were usually the brunt of my mischief nights. And I will tell you, one year they were due to get a new, like, gas tank. Their house was older. You know, this big, I think it's like a gas tank.
Yeah. Like a big propane tank looking thing. Yeah.
Big thing. And theirs was like rusted and gross. And in my mind, I was like, this is a great opportunity for me to play a prank on them for Mischief Night. I'm going to paint this thing.
Oh, God. I'm going to make it pretty.
Yeah. I underestimated how much paint it would take me and how long it would take me, but I painted the entire thing white and then drew on, like, cow print.
Oh, my God.
So the next morning when they came out, they walked out to a cow printed gas tank.
Did it have, like, a face? Or
no, it was just cow print.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Did you do this by yourself?
I did, yes. Yep.
Holy shit.
I'm pretty sure I was in college at the time.
That's amazing.
I got a call the next day from my mom. Did you paint your grandparents? Blah, blah.
No, I did not.
Yes, I did. Do they love it? And then she started laughing and said, well, I mean, no, but they're getting a new one. I was like, exactly. Now they have a little bit of sass in their backyard. It was hysterical. I mean, in my mind, it was hysterical, but...
Do they love it? No.
They don't, but they also don't really care.
That's too funny. Yeah. Oh my God. I don't know if this was on Mischief Night, but I guess it, like, can be considered a prank. I don't know, but it was kind of mean. Oh, no. So one night, me and a bunch of friends, it was like my friends and our boyfriends at the time, went to Jason's Woods in Pennsylvania. Yeah. And again, if you know, you know, Jason's Woods. It's like a big, like, haunted house. Like, people jump out at you. They have a hayride, all that
It's actually
nonsense.
really good and really scary.
Yeah, it is. But we were driving back in the middle of the night, and as we were driving, the guys spotted this humongous pumpkin. Like, I'm talking biggest pumpkin I've ever seen in my entire life.
Like it won an award in the
Oh my
fair.
God. Yeah, it was huge. So it was at somebody's doorstep, like by their door, and they were like, they stopped and they were like, we're taking that pumpkin. And we were like, that's so mean. Like, what? And they went. It took 3 of them to lift this pumpkin. Damn. That is how big the pumpkin was. And the reason I found this so funny, and it's a memory that I think of very often, is because one of the guys who was carrying the pumpkin, like, we went in 2 cars. Okay. I was in the car behind the car that they put the pumpkin in. As he was putting the pumpkin in the car, his entire ass fell out of his jeans, and it was like full moon. You could see everything, and it's just a visual. Like, you have like a core memory of, I will never forget that. But to the people in Pennsylvania, if you lost a humongous pumpkin in like 2002, I believe it was, I am so sorry. It wasn't my idea. I didn't do it.
What did they do with the pumpkin?
I don't know, but can you imagine like going outside like as a kid and your parents got you a huge pumpkin and then it was just fucking gone? That's so rude. I'd be so pissed.
Pumpkin fairies.
Yeah.
Taking the pumpkins. Aww.
Yeah, I know.
Some kids were doing that in my neighborhood. They were stealing all the pumpkins, and there were people all up in arms. And I had like 8 or 9 pumpkins around my house. They took all of them, which was fine. I didn't care. I didn't have kids at the time.
Oh my God.
Kids being kids. They could be doing worse crap.
Yeah.
And they actually took them to a farm and just lined them up.
They just lined them up?
Lined them up. And someone else in the neighborhood made a post, and they were like, oh, we found all of our pumpkins. Just go over and pick yours. Like, you're going to remember which freaking pumpkin is yours. But I did go and grab 2 of them just to put back in my yard.
Oh my God.
I know. I can't.
That's funny.
Not as good as a full moon stealing it, though. That's a good one.
Yeah, if you guys have any funny Halloween stories or any funny...
Any stories? Pumpkin stories? Mischief night
Mischief night. Oh my God. I swear I'm like losing it. Yeah, if you guys have any Mischief night stories, if you have any Halloween night stories that are funny... Go to our Facebook page, Ghosty Girls Podcast.
Or email us.
Yeah. Email us at theghostygirlspodcast@gmail.com. Maybe next year we could do like a funny Halloween podcast and talk about funny Halloween stories. So we need to start building that up now.
Halloween fails.
Halloween fail. Yeah.
I love it. I have a couple costumes I could throw into that one.
Oh my gosh. Oh, we totally need to do that because that group of people that I was friends with, I'm still friends with all the girls. Like, shout out Danielle and Stephanie. I know you guys remember the full moon pumpkin stealing.
Hey girl.
But all of the guys that we were with at the time, like, we're not with them anymore, but we still remained friends.
That's awesome.
But during that time, we used to do Halloween parties every year, and they were ragers. They were fucking ragers. Like, I'm talking cops got called and everything, fireworks going off in the fucking, somebody, I believe it was my friend's ex-husband who like set fireworks off in a mailbox.
What?
These were fucking ragers. Like,
how were we not friends back then? Because
I don't know. We
would have doubled the ragement.
See, you know what? That's why the universe didn't put us as friends back in the day.
In jail, for sure.
Probably, yeah. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. We hope you have a fun and safe Halloween. Check the candy. But, or don't worry about it too much. Who gives a shit?
There's a high chance it's fine.
It'll be fine.
Yeah.
All right. We will see you next Tuesday, but don't be one.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye. Love you.